If I had to choose who to promote, Overwatch has my vote. Overwatch has beliefs, Talon has none. Talon's beliefs is essentially a lesser form of Pain's from Naruto. Pain from Naruto believed that if he caused war and strife, and if everybody felt what it's like to go through that, then no one would ever want to go through that, right? So, Talon's belief is like that, with a mixture of accelerationism and Darwinism, where Talon will attack groups and rob places and try to cause global damage to major areas so that people within those areas will get stronger. And if anybody who is unable to adapt to such an environment deserves to die, right? But the thing is, when you really look at its members, its politics, its how they're making money, what they're funding, as well as the fact of who Overwatch is, Talon is just a lesser form of it. Any form of destruction is a lesser form of creation, as it's far more easier to destroy than it is to create. To destroy is such a childlike thing. Why Think like this: why do you think children tend to react violently when they're angry? Why do you think when they get frustrated they start pushing things over and start pounding their hands and feet on the floor, crying? Because it's only because it only people who are unable to have complex thinking, to have rationality, could only view things as destruction. There's a reason why people do evil actions. There's a reason why people always tell themselves, yo, if I was an OnlyFans creator, or if I was a drill rapper or a trapper or something like that, then my life will be 1,000% easier, right? Because in a sense, it would be, but like, imagine what you have to do to get those things. Imagine the clientele you have to work with. Look at Talon. Talon's main members, like Reaper, some what's her name, Sombra, and like Widowmaker, and a bunch of other people already left the organization. Anybody who is still with Talon is only there for their own personal gain. With this whole accelerationism, or we have to do these things so humanity and whoever could become stronger, and we could become stronger as a whole global society, it's just bullshit. They're there for their own personal gain. Look at Mora, for example. The main reason she's even there in the first place is because Talon gives her a bunch of funding for her projects, right? And the same with other people. Vendetta, whatever her name is, right? She's just there to, because her dad was a boss at one point. She was like a mafioso crime boss, right? She was just a power-hungry teenager who's just lashing out at the world because she thinks she deserves it. Within reality, you can't just be deserving of something you can't be deserving, you gotta be worthy of it. All of Talon's members is just a bunch of thugs who just got some power and thinks that because of this, they could just do what the fuck they want. They don't care about humanity or any omnics. They just care about their own personal interests. And as I mentioned before, destruction will always be a lesser form of creation. Because when I say destruction and creation, in a sense, I do mean it literally as it is, in a sense, a game. But there is still like physics, if I'm using that word correctly, or thinking the right term, because you can never destroy something, you can never create something, because it's just impossible. But when you see things that have been created, right? Look at cars, for example. Someone had to think of that. Someone had to think of ways for cars to functionally work as well as to also be safe, right? Someone had to think of, okay, if I put this piece of wood and this piece of wood and this piece of wood, put like a wheel here, and a wheel there, and I push it, it goes forward. And then I just became a train. I became an airplane, right? Such things are so magnificent. It's so amazing. It makes us human. It makes us human. When we see animals use tools such as crows. They use rocks to, like, I guess, break things, or when monkeys use like sticks to do whatever. We say that's akin to humans because it is a human thing to create, right? Nikola Tesla, who happened to be a futurist, somebody who did things so the future will be amazing. He he started developments to create something where you could have like free electricity all around the world, right? And he started making these plans and started building shit so that could happen. But then, his funders, who happened to be, if I remember correctly, the Rothschilds, pulled away their funding for him because if it's free electricity, then his funders won't get massives and the massive amounts of profit. See, just like how those funders are, is the same way as talent, because they're not in the interest of humanity or even the apex of strong humans who would happen to survive after this accelerationism. They just want what they want, whether it be money or more scientific funding for their own research or whatever, right? And most of all, I'm not a Zionist. That's one of the main reasons I support Overwatch. I mean, come on. The reason you see people support talent is because you get more rewards. They're sacrificing their own moral code, or even if they don't have a code, they're still like, hey, it's a bunch of free shit, right? And all I gotta do is this right here, and I get a lot more rewards. That's no different than any Zionist or any Zionist shill. And most of all, you're a fucking hero. What's cooler than that? You're a hero. It is. If you're a hero, like a literal hero, you're stronger than any villain, no matter what. Because you're not just fighting for yourself; you're fighting for others. You have to protect people, protect yourself, and to protect the environment. You have three. You have three main objectives, where, as evil people, just have one: do evil shit, be bad, steal. To stand up for someone else, even has the one thing you could say about a hero, what makes a hero as a hero, is meddling in business that has nothing to do with you. Saving people is what it means to be human. Sacrificing things is what makes you human. If it isn't in the protection of innocent people, there's a reason why when you see a video of somebody facing injustice, it makes you feel pain in your heart. Like even though you're only visualizing it, you're only watching a video of injustice, somebody getting beat up for no reason, somebody being attacked for no reason, and you don't even know this person. You probably don't even speak the same language as this person, but for some reason you feel something for them. You don't even know them. You don't know their name. You don't know how much hair they have on their legs. You don't even know what their favorite type of shoes are. But you feel an extreme emotional response to seeing such things. To stand up with pride, to stand up with your heart, and to declare something against the world and for the world is what it means to progress. I assume the Overwatch timeline is very similar to our timeline. It just so happens that they're technically more technologically more advanced. So I assuming the whole industrial age, the whole Renaissance age happened and shit, but they just so happen to have more technology. Look how fast we progressed with humanity, right? Look how fast it took us to make lead into gold, to make these vaccines, to make cures for illnesses, right? We didn't have to do any of that. We didn't have to help people. What we did to live long and prosper. That's like the thing with children too. When people have children, even if you're religious or non-religious, and I know I'm going on like a little bit of tangent, but it is still relevant to what it is to be good, why it is good to be good, why it is to be for Overwatch, why it is to be for humanity and the innocent omnics who are just there in a sense, for lack of a better term. I was about to say something powerful. I was trying to remember, because the love you have for yourself and for people is the reason why you have kids. You are so thankful for the life which you have been given. You continue the cycle of life by having kids, by making sure that your kids and future generations are able to prosper. This is why people disagree with boomers a lot, because because boomers were technically very selfish. Like they didn't really work hard, right? They were technically lazy because they went to all these parties, all these pop circles and these rock and roll areas or whatever, like whatever hippie age and shit like that, and they ended up fucking up the environment, extremely increasing the levels of pollution in the world, extremely making sure that generations after them, being if I remember correctly, millennials and Zoomers, because you see as millennials and Zoomers today, they're struggling because the boomers before didn't give them a good support system. Because people before the boomers, right? They literally fought in like wars. I'm pretty sure World War II was before the boomers' age, and that just a little bit after World War II, boomers were alive. That's when the boomers started, for lack of a better term, because lots of prosperity now. Because after the war, everybody's like, okay, oof, let's not do that again, and actually I think during that time, a little bit after World War II, that was the like in the American golden age. So all these boomers had all of this access to these houses, all of this money, and all this other shit, and they was like, I want this all to ourselves. They didn't end up doing good for the millennials and Zoomers now. That's why we're all fucked up. You know what I'm saying? But that's the thing about being good. That's the thing about striving for the better. That even when things seem bleak, you still want to go. It's something in our heads or something like that, or in our biology to want to do good. There's just something about it that even when things seem terrible, look at slavery, look at the Holocaust. Things seemed so deplorable. There was no way out, but they survived and succeeded. Look at black people, for example. It's 400 years of slavery, and now black people all around the world seem to be on the echelons of seemingly in like better term society, because like we're all equal, we're all like amazingly good, and this group of people, black people, being subjugated for so long and just like being pushed down and just spring back up. Because look at sports. Most of the most popular and fundamentally better sports players and athletes happen to be black. Some of the best entertainers happen to be black. Michael Jackson, Michael Jordan. You know what I'm saying? There's something about struggles and we call it and strife that makes you want to do better. But wait, that you might be like, hey, bro, this sounds a lot like Talon, something Talon would say. But things though, look at this. All of this success, all of this bad things that happen that made people want to do better. It's not the bad things itself that made it happen. It's just in human nature want to do better for others. It just so happens that the bad things just happened. It just so happens that it happened. If the bad things didn't happen, humanity would still have time to prosper and even prosper at a faster rate. Because I forgot if I made this point before. Look at this. Imagine if the Rothschilds, if I remember correctly, if they were the true funders of Nikola Tesla for the free electricity all around the world, if they didn't pull their funding, our civilization would be far more advanced. It's not that evil things or bad situations or hard times makes us better. We make each other better. We do that. Is that people think the correlation is the causation. That because there is a correlation between bad things happening and people becoming stronger, that is because of the bad things that makes them stronger when it's not. It just so happens that we have to be strong and having an affinity to progression. Look at how we were 1,000 years ago. 1,000? No, like 10,000, I think, right? 9,000, 10,000. Back when we were like in medieval era, the Renaissance era, right? To look at now, people like 2,000 years ago could never imagine, like, cause like, I don't know, it's kind of hard for me to explain, but like, the reason you're able to see me is because of a bunch of ones and zeros, right? And I guess because of the way that these ones and zeros are placed, it means colors or whatever, how this computer stuff works. I'm going to IT. I'm going to school for IT soon, so it's kind of fucked up. I don't know this shit yet, but I do know is that my mind's going blank to shit. But overall, to be good is good. Overwatch has beliefs, Talon has none.